I'm Lorien. It is November 5th. It's election day, and you're watching episode 17 of Knitting Monologues. I thought I would record and hopefully post this today to give you somewhat of a distraction if you are caught up at all in politics and live in the US. It can be a pretty stressful day. Someone will win, someone will not, and we will all move forward no matter the outcome. But distractions can be really helpful. I have a bunch of modifications to talk about today. The first of which is I have a new name for this channel. Again, it's Knitting Monologues because truthfully, it's just me chatting with you about my knitting. And really, you're not talking back, so it is a bit of a monologue. So I thought that was a little bit more representative of what I do here. And it'll pretty much be, but the name is the only change, I would say. So without further ado, I am wearing the Lauran Sweater. This is a design by Elenor Mortensen. I'm gonna stand up because there's color work on the bottom as well as the yoke. There's this really beautiful faux cable feature or detail. I knit it, you could have done the contrast color here. I just continued the same color here. It could knit it in long sleeves, and I had to knit it because it's my name. And I love how it turned out. I actually knit it in the dark green and a pink, a very bright ultraviolet, and it wasn't strong enough contrast in value. So I started it over. I sought this mint green yarn, which is pillow mint color, on the Favorite Base by Stress Knits. I got it in a D-stash. I still have, I think, at least a whole skein and a partial left. And this green color is called Leave Me Alone. It is at Haynes House on their Barefoot, I think it's called Barefoot Sock, it's Barefoot something, base. And I finished it this summer. I probably talked about it in an earlier episode, I'm sure I did, but I only wove in the ends because I forgot that it was a short sleeve sweater. We have had an unseasonably warm fall, and I've been able to get quite a lot of use out of my short sleeve sweaters. So I took care of 4 sweaters in the pile. There are 2 remaining of to be woven. And this was one of them, and I wanted to make sure I got some wear this season. I'll probably actually wear it to work tomorrow. I have the day off. I work in a school, and students, some of our schools in our town are polling locations, and because of that, the students don't go in. Teachers have a professional learning day, and I'm a secretary in our high school and a 10-month secretary, so I don't have to go in either, so I have the day off. All right, moving on. I have 2 finished objects today. I have 2 works in progress, quite a few acquisitions. I'm about a week late in getting this video to you. Last week I had the sniffles. I just wasn't feeling well. I had cold, nothing more serious than that, but I just didn't feel up to recording. So I'm coming to you today. All right, so the first work in progress was not really something I had planned to do, which it is, and I should warn you, although it's been finished for almost a week now. The last clue's been out for almost a week. This is the West Knits Mystery Knit Along for 2024. I'm trying to show you things on a hanger if I'm not wearing them, so maybe you'll get a better sense, and I've wrapped it here. This pattern he's called Go Dynamo. It is a fingering weight shawl. Stephen designed it in, I'm gonna unwrap it now. Stephen designed it to be in 2 colors, and I took a look at the first clue. I had a bunch of minis I wanted to try to use up and some neutrals. So I used the neutrals as one color And you can really see I had a gold and I had a tan. And there's the tan and there's the gold. And I had minis that I wound in greens and oranges and yellow. I only had 2 yellow. I had a couple of different greens, a few oranges. And I'm really happy with it. To me, the best way for me to actually go about wearing some of these colors is to mix them with a neutral. So I have probably knit, I didn't knit it as a mystery in the sense that I didn't know what it looked like. It was really important to know what it was going to look like, to know where to put the colors, because color placement became an added challenge for me with this. It was a really interesting construction. You start with this center section here, these large striped sections, and then work down. And then the last section is this center section here. I learned a couple of new stitch patterns. There were options to do brioche, there's brioche here, those 2 sections. I used mohair, or Suri, of course. I used Suri in that section. I needed it a bit up top also because I ran pretty low on the neutral colors. But I've worn it out once. I wore it this weekend to a fiber festival, and I'm really happy with it because it was a fun knit. It was fun. I knit it at the same time. 2 of my friends decided to get in on it. Shannon, who is Whiskey and Wool, and Beth Macdonald Stone. And so we had our own little just kind of chat group to compare notes. And it was nice. It was just a nice way to kind of bond together and knit something along with a friend. Of course, you're knitting it with, like, I don't know, 3,000 or more other people across the world. So that is also fun. I did make a mistake, and I was kind of ahead of them, so I warned them. I missed, there's some very significant, like, decrease rows, which makes perfect sense. And I missed one. I had to go back about 18 rows. But otherwise, that was pretty much it. If you do plan to knit this, this applied border, I used double pointed needles. I definitely recommend that. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I have taken, I think I did shawlography. I didn't do last year's, and I think I didn't do maybe the year before. I've done a couple of them. I don't mind having the pattern released over 4 weeks, totally fine with that, but I definitely have to look at where it's going, especially because some of the options can be really out there. I look at this as a piece of art. I wouldn't probably not wear a sweater with this kind of workup with these colors, but I would definitely wear a shawl. So it was a lot of fun, and it really, Stephen's designs are so creative. It really takes my head out of knitting sometimes and really force me, like, taps a different aspect of creativity. And I enjoyed that. So it was fun. I pretty much was able to keep up with the clues, but that meant some other things I was knitting on got slowed down, of course. So my next finished object is a sweater that I've been working on. It's a pattern. It is the Stripy Unicorn. It is designed by Locateli, and I knit this for the Hohi Fall knit along for this year. So hopefully this is working better to hold these on the hanger. There we go. So you can see it's a horizontal stripe, a 1-row stripe. The short rows come in here. You can see it's a little bit darker. To be honest, many people struggled with this, my friends who've knit it. And once you block it, it definitely is, it's noticeable, but not, I don't find so distracting. This is a little rainbowy to me, and horizontal stripes are not always super flattering, but you have this body, you have body shaping where in some places you're increasing and some you're decreasing. The body doesn't actually grow. I think mine didn't. I don't think that's the point of it. Yeah. But those lines really help give that body lengthening look as well. So, you know what? I think it's a fun sweater. I bought this color changing yarn around the time the pattern came out, which was last year. And I wasn't, at one time I was like, I don't know if I'm going to keep going with this. I don't know if I'm going to wear it. But you know what? I put it on with like a white collared shirt, and I'm happy. It blocked out absolutely beautifully. I love the yarns. So the yarns I used are, the color changing yarn to start with is this. It's very, very colorful. Neons. It is by Yarn Hero. It is the Merge Sport. The color is Glowworm. I still have 2.5 skeins of this, so I've been thinking about what I'm going to do with the rest of it. And I think I have a plan. The navy, or kind of darkish blue, is by Utopia in the Ridge Sport base, and the colorway is Indigo. This is Midwestern, yarn from Midwestern Sheep. They don't tell you which breed. It's 100% fine wool, 304 yards, which is a great put up, great yardage for a sport skein. 100 grams of yarn of wool. And I really felt that putting these together, like the blue, really helped tone down some of the brightness of these colors. That said, I did swatch with this and I did wash it, and it did not bleed. The minute I stuck this in to block, it started to bleed. So I grabbed the color catchers and threw them in. I have no idea if they did anything, but to me this is still plenty bright, so I am okay with it. I did not bother with keeping the sleeves identical as far as the color changing color, like, didn't matter. It's fine. The one thing I did do, it does have a rolled neck, and I'm good with that. I don't love a rolled waist or cuffs. So I did one row, I finished one row, it has ribbing on the bottom. I finished one row in the main color, the blue, and then I did an Icelandic bind off for the cuffs and the waist. And that's it. I'm glad, because I finished for the knit along, which I believe runs through the end of November. So check that one off. So that's a sport weight sweater. I'm going to get into some of my works in progress. Let's start with this one, which is, I've showed this one before. So this kind of, like I said, got put on the back burner as I was doing the knit along. This, but I love it. It's gorgeous. It's not because I don't love it. I do love it. This is called the Montrose. It is a color work yoke design by Sophie Lucente. I think it's Lucente is how to pronounce the name. She told me, and I didn't look before she hadn't responded before I filmed last time, and then I forgot to look again now. So the thing that's new to me here is it has these stranded in front color stitches. So some of these are stranded behind the work and some are stranded in front. That is called inlay. I've had a lot of lovely conversations, like text chats with Sophie as I've been working on this, and it has been a lot of fun to knit on. It is also sport weight, so it's just taking me some time now as I'm on the body to get to the waist. There is some patterning, a kind of a scalloped edge, and the red comes back into play for the waist. It will be long, and I think the cuffs too. It will be long sleeves, so I just need to do a lot of knitting. I am knitting the body on a size 4. I sized up for the color work to a size 5. The yarns. So the red I purchased at Yarn Farm Kingston this summer. I have a single skein. This is Galler Yarns, that's their insignia. The base is called Will You Be My Baby, and the color is called Valentine. It is 75-25 merino and alpaca, and 371 yards for 100 grams. And then the main color is by Twist of Fate Spinnery. They are a mill, and they also produce, they don't have, I don't think they have sheep, but they do produce yarn for many, many farms, and then somehow they buy additional, is my understanding. And this is also sport 370 yards for the put up. This is this beautiful camel color. I have knit several sweaters from them. They are priced very, very well. It is similarly an alpaca, what did I say, 50-50 alpaca and wool. And this, for a 100 gram skein, at the time I bought it last year, it was $18. They spend at many of the large fiber festivals, and I've knit with a variety of their bases. So I'm a big fan of their yarns. So this is more, you know, I'm at the place here where it's just kind of the mindless, as we like to call mindless knitting, just knitting in the round. I'll have to do something similar on the sleeves. And I love, this feels very elegant, like it feels lightweight, and it has, the hand is a little, I don't want to, not silky, it's not overly fuzzy with the alpaca, but it's soft. I guess that's the thing, it's soft. And I think it's to me, it has a dressier feel. I don't know if it's the color combination, but it feels a little bit dressier. So, having fun with that, but I need to put some more work on my part. I did a lot of car knitting this weekend, but I felt like I didn't make as much progress for some reason. Probably because I have two works in progress that are seemingly at the same place. So the next sweater I'm working on is it's going to be a cardigan. It is a top-down yoke steeked cardigan. It is, I can't tell you, the designer is sort of me. And sort of, well, I took some stitch counts from a different, this is worsted weight. I took the stitch counts from a different cardigan that I had knit in worsted weight yarn. I did a gauge swatch, figured out what my needle needed to be for a similar gauge. This pattern I took from a stitch dictionary from a book by Alice Starmore, which I will show you the next time that I come back to talk about this, when it is hopefully closer to done. The body's pretty long, actually. So I had the yarns, the gray and the white, the cream color yarns I bought a year ago from Olympia Farm. Here's their tag. And her name is Anne. They are out of Guilford, Connecticut. And this, I don't even know, it doesn't say much about the sheep themselves. The red yarn in here, as you can see, I've moved away from brights and neutrals to just kind of gray, like neutrals. I'm in a neutral space, and you'll see more of that. The red yarn is something I bought, and I knit I think I knit the Kyler shawl by Isabel Kramer out of this yarn, which I purchased. It's called Ullcentrum. It is Swedish, I believe that's a Swedish flag. It is 2-ply sport weight. I bought it from the Woolly Thistle, and is the color Fallow Red. All of this is in another language except Fallow Red. And I had some left over, and I really wanted to work with the red and these two colors. And I had enough for it to be this contrast color in this motif. It's a sport weight, so I held it double, and it worked out just fine. I didn't really swatch. I kind of had a feeling it would be okay. So I am knitting this on size. I cast on below the collar and knit back and forth. Did some short rows in the back. So this is like I said, I'm taking some stitch counts and some directions from another worsted weights cardigan that I've knit, but everything else is kind of my own planning. And I want to encourage everyone to try that. It really isn't that hard. Every sweater follows some type of, many of them, unless they're completely unique construction, follows a formula as far as stitch counts to get a certain size based on a certain gauge. And I don't do that too often, but this was a bigger, I don't know, modification, improvisation. So I know that I like a sweater that has the back raised. I also am good to, I prefer to do my colorwork in the round. I prefer to do my knitting in the round. Why purl when I'm gonna steek just this little bit, but I'm gonna steek the whole thing. I have plenty, I think, of the gray yarn that I don't need to use any more of the cream, but I have plenty of that as well. And I just wanted a very basic sweater. So I am going to probably just knit straight down and do ribbing at the waist for the body. I will add the gray pickup for the sleeves, and I will also pick up the collar here. Now this is way too wide, of course, but it's going to get pulled in considerably, and I will kind of have to figure out as I go a little bit. Once I cut the steek, I'm gonna add probably a button band with buttons. This time I don't love buttons, but I think on this one I will. And this is it'll be a round neck, so I'll need to do a collar and the button band. It feels like, as I'm talking about, I have a lot of work to go on this, but I made some good progress lately with the body length. I also feel like as I've been looking at it, maybe did I do the sleeves long enough, but I've tried it on and it's totally fine. So yeah, my stitch count, the number of rows to put in the yoke, all of that is based on just another sweater that I had purchased and knit. That sweater was designed to go back and forth, but I just put in a steek and kept going. I actually knit that one that way too. So this is kind of a colorwork freestyle basic, or will be. Okay, before I get into some acquisitions, because I have a few to show you, today was also the day that I switched out my warm weather summer knits for my heavier weather knits. I left my ponchos in a storage bin, but I took everything else and put it into my closet because soon I'll be wearing those clothes. And I felt a little overwhelmed by the amount of sweaters that I have. This happened to me with shawls. I started really as a shawl knitter, baby knits, and a shawl knitter, but I didn't have a lot of volume of baby knits. And I got to the point with shawl knitting where I kind of said, okay, you pretty much have everything you could want, so 2 a year for yourself is really enough. And I'm not really ready to say 2 a year sweaters is enough, because I would really like to knit a few more things that I have planned, which I had originally planned 4 additional sweaters this year, but I'm not going to knit all 4, and my plans for one of them just don't make sense. So I am planning next, though, I'm planning at least 2 more sweaters instead. 2, maybe I'll start the 3rd. We'll see how how quickly these 2 work up. I am planning to knit the Leaf cardigan, which I'm going to show you a picture of right here. So this is a pattern here. Ooh. There we go, by Rebecca Clow, the Crayabea. And it is a striped cardigan with kind of offset stripes and different colors, and there are a lot of different ways you can pattern it. It's a worsted weight sweater, and I have 3 different colors, and a little bit I have a kind of a cherry red, a blue, and a cream. So it's going to be a bit patriotic, but I'm okay with it. All that is from leftover other projects that I bought most of those all of those really actually on a D-stash, and knit a couple of sweaters out of them. This is what's left, and I just took a look at the yardages that I have and the yardages for the size I need, and I think I can make it work. So I am going to knit that sweater. The main color will be red, the stripes will be blue and cream. I might need to add a little bit of tan, so we'll see how it goes. This looks cropped. I'm gonna make it a full length body, so probably add another row of stripes to the body. And I think it's a bottom up design. So I'm excited to jump into that one next. Again, it's a lot of just knit. I think it's knit and purl, but that's okay. That is just okay. All right. I'm gonna talk about the acquisitions and show you some of the patterns that I have planned for them. Sort of. The first set, which is something on sale that I could not pass up. So, and where is the tag? Okay. So I had been planning to knit a particular scarf this year, which I haven't knit. A lot of my accessory knitting has sort of fallen by the wayside in favor of sweaters this year. But I have been looking for some Clinton Hill cashmere. I have some. I have the DK weight in black and pink. And I decided I really wanted that scarf, which is what it is, a scarf, to be in the olive instead of the black. So I just sort of looked online to see was it running on sale anywhere, which is incredibly rare, but I have been able to catch it on sale. And I found some of the worsted weight on sale at Maker, I think it's called Maker and Stitch website. So I purchased, and by on sale, I mean like 30% off, which is really quite good. Of course, I told all my friends about it. I'm telling you now, it might still be on sale. They had limited colors and limited supply, but nevertheless, I got 2 skeins of the camel and 2 skeins of the black. So yes, I bought more of the black, and I don't currently have a plan for the black DK. I think these are going to be hats, although I thought maybe I'd use them together. So I have 4 skeins all together. This put up, they're bespoke, but it's the worsted, 100% cashmere made in Italy, and it's 99 yards per ball. This is such a beautiful, like a jet black, probably pretty hard. There we go, harder to see than the camel. So there's that. It's sort of an unexpected purchase, but again, didn't go to Rhinebeck, so giving myself a little allowance, let's say. Okay. Many of you already knew how much I love Fiber Macgyver. Susie and I became friends because I think she was a tester, or she knit. I think she was a tester, and maybe our other friend Mary Beth was also a tester of one of the more complicated sweaters I've ever knit, which is the design by Catherine Clark of Brooklyn General called Not to a Day. And so we became sort of online friends and have met in real life, and then Susie started dyeing yarn, which she wasn't doing at the time, or maybe just for fun, but now she has a vibrant business, does tons of shows. She was at Rhinebeck itself, vending with her camper, Madge. And about a year ago, Susie and I were talking about bases and what bases did I think would be coming up in popularity. And I said to her, I really think a heavier weight Suri is kind of good. Big Birdie from the Lemon Kid was kind of out there. That is a very much heavier weight. Oh Dang DK is something put out by the Farmer's Daughter Fibers now, and Susie had procured, I think, probably the same base, which is, she calls her Suri Silk DK. I'm just holding this because you can see it's going to be such a good color for me. So it is the perfect color. It is DK Suri. It is 246 yards. She had 3 skeins left. I don't know if this was at Rhinebeck or if I know she has to do some extra steps to produce this color, which is named after our friend Mary Beth. And I'm going to knit a vest. All that to say, she told me that she had 3 skeins left. Did I want them? And I said, yes, please. So this is going to become, it's also just making me happy because it's like friends and friends and friends. This is going to become, let me make sure there's no glare, the icing on the cake vest pattern by Beth Macdonald Stone. Now, there is a companion cowl that I knit, and my gauge was way off. I used the same yarn in a orchid, like a beautiful purple pink. My gauge was much larger, and so my cowl is larger, which is totally fine for me, but not the best tester for Beth, I'm sorry. But gave people another view, and it was still a lovely pairing of pattern and yarn. So I am going to, but for the vest it's a garment and it has to fit a little better. So I'm definitely going to be more cautious about my swatch. I will size down on my needle. I may size down on the pattern because there's only I can only size down so much on my needle. I feel like with this, it is Suri and silk, 90% Suri, 10% silk. It has a little bit of stretch from the silk. It's just this spectacular rust color, which Mary Beth's hair is like this. She's a gorgeous redhead. So yes, there's that. Okay. I went to what is in my area the last fiber festival of the season, Fiber Festival of New England, just this past Sunday. My husband was in the mood to drive, so I got to carnet. My local friends were still high on fumes from New York Sheep and Wool and had other plans. So I did go with the shopping list. I always recommend bringing a list when you go on to a fiber festival or shopping experience, a Vogue experience, anything like that, so that you buy things that you plan to use and don't just sit in stash. So one of the things I was shopping for, so let me show you the pattern because I had a pattern in mind as well. So the pattern is a fairly new release. I think it came out in the it came out in mid-September. And it is called, the sweater is called Obsidian by Tanya Barley, who is the Wool Barrow. Here is the picture. It is a mostly colorwork sweater. There are different body options. You could do an A-line body, balloon sleeves, or you could do a more fitted look, which is probably what I will do. And I had this yarn by Spun Right Round in stash. It's a domestic DK, 140 yards. It's a 50-gram put-up. I have knit another sweater in the DK and in her fingering base. Or, yeah, a few colors in the fingering base. So I have about 1,000 yards, a little over 1,000 yards of this color, just called Oatmeal. And I was looking for a contrast color. I have often admired the yarns from Icing yarns here. They have a lot of beautiful natural wools, British beads. They also have dyed wool. And I was admiring something else, but it was too close in color to this to work. And then the gentleman working there pointed me to this. So this is a locally grown and custom spun 100% non-superwash Wensleydale. Also a DK, 2-ply, 250 yards. This is just it's a natural color. It's like a gray brown. It has a little, or silver, it has a little bit of silver in it. So that'll be my contrast color. This will be my main color. Yay. I will not knit this until 2025, but it will get done. Winter. It's a winter knit. I have 2 skeins of this for the color work. We also paid a visit to Foster Sheep Farm, who is owned by Carol. Her farm is near, and it's her sheep. It's her color, her dyeing also. It's her sheep and natural dyed. And I was looking for a neutral colors for a shawl for my mom, who is very knit-worthy. She wears what I've knit her, and she's also quite sensitive. These are the most velvety yarns. They are superwash. This base happens to be superwash 80/20 fingering weight, and I fell in love with this, which is dyed. This one is dyed with black walnut, and this is undyed. And we were at this at the last day, so it is kind of one of the last big festivals. And the last day there was one of each, or there might have been two of the natural, but there was only one of the black walnut. I would have taken two of those, but I'm going to knit her a shawl, a 2-color shawl, using these. I stumbled into a new purveyor. I don't know what, woman owned and regeneratively farmed vendor there, called Werewool. Let's see, and they have a really cute logo. So it is a sheep in wolf's clothing. Can you see that there? It's really creatively done. I'm just going to... You can find them as Werewool, Vermont. And her name is Sabra, or Sabra, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And she just had a small but a varied assortment of natural, I think they were natural. Anything that was dyed was naturally dyed, and really interesting blends. Like, you could kind of tell from her tag, like, it's all these different possible fibers that she's got, and different weights and put-ups here. The one, as you might have seen, that I purchased is a DK weight skein. It says it's 50 grams, but it feels, I don't know, it feels heavier, and it's 200 yards. So I feel like it's heavier than that. But this was cormo. I was determined to get cormo. She had the softest cormo. It was just wonderful, but it was in a baby pink, and I didn't know what I would do with that. So I got the camel. You could see I'm really in a neutrals phase right now. And I got the camel color, but it also has camel in it. So her label says that the Werewool connects Vermont fiber farmers with people and provides fiber artists with these wonderful, rare, and hard to find Vermont yarns. I don't know what this will be, but it is so next to skin soft. I feel like it's got to be like a neckerchief. I don't know. Of course I have something. I already have something. So I don't know. It feels like it could be cashmere. It is that yummy. So I bought the one skein. That was not on my list, but I wanted to support her. I wanted to try the yarn. It was just too delicious to pass up. Okay, one of the things that as much as when I look at all of my sweaters, I find it a little overwhelming, because I have probably 80 plus now, and I do each season pare down, but I have a real hard time doing that. A lot of what I knit is, I wear it all. For the most part, I wear it all. If I'm not wearing it, I will pass it along, and I really do try to wear everything at least one time a season, which sounds like not enough. But I did put a summer knit in the giveaway pile now, and I have 2 winter knits that were in the giveaway pile in the spring when I did the other transition, and I just didn't have the heart to give them away, but now they're going. One of the things, though, that I found my wardrobe basics to be missing is a white cardigan. Just a basic, lightweight white cardigan. And so I was looking for yarn for that, fingering weight. I found that yarn at the Biscotte booth. This is their America line. There you go. And it's 100% American Rambouillet. It says Rambouillet Merino non-superwash. And that just spoke to me. The put-up is 450 yards for 100 grams. So I have 1350. I bought 3 skeins. It's very soft and has like a little bit of a sheen almost when you, not like a softness when you touch it. It has a little bit of fluff. It's hard. It's very hard to, yeah, it's not really picking up on camera. And I'm going to make a basic cardigan, possibly the Featherweight by Hannah Fettig, which is kind of my go-to, just basic raglan utilitarian cardigan. So I was really happy to find this because, for one, I thought I would be buying superwash, which would be fine for this, but I'd prefer not to, if possible. So that will also be like a knit for spring. And that's the show today, folks. I did find a couple of other vendors that I plan to make online purchases from. Todd was with me and he fell in love with a green yarn from Dying Wishes Yarn. I think it's Dying Wishes Yarn. Maybe it's just Yarn. Who is Sarah, and she is out of near Hartford, Connecticut. And because we were there towards the end on the second day, she had only 4 skeins with her. No, we needed at least 4 or 5 skeins. She had 2 still in the booth. So I will place an online order. The colorway he fell in love with, I think, is called the Vision, which is a very strongly toned green, like emerald green color. And then I absolutely lost my mind over some yarn in the Seven Sister Arts booth. The color is called Rock Olive, and it is like the deepest gray olive color, which is just so up my alley. And I had a chat with the vendor there, and she only had 4 skeins, but they were different dye lots. In her DK base, she has a light worsted base that's also beautiful, and I will just place an online order from her at some point when hopefully she'll get in touch to let me know when she's dyeing it. So it's available on the website, but I'm not sure that it's actually available in the quantity I would need. I might I have to think about what I'm going to do with that, because I could see using that color with a soft orange. I could also see doing a cabled. I've been wanting to knit the Hohi Locateli Solari sweater, and both of those bases would be pretty good options. I think I have to see how the gauge works up on them. So, but she had really beautiful yarns. So, so there'll be more purchasing. So those I do want to have been working on my plans for next year, which are going to be fewer sweaters, not none, but fewer, and really just sticking to my list, which I'm very good about sticking to my list, but other things sometimes get added as the year goes on. So probably 2 things will get pushed into next year or start in just not finished, which is fine. This is not about being rigid, but I do find that I do less impulse knitting, impulse purchasing of yarn when I stick to a plan. And my main hope is that I don't have a ton of sweater quantities left to knit through. It's not overwhelming, but I want to end next year, be back here a year from now without any sweater quantities left. I have some blankets planned. I would like to also crochet some blankets. So I'm not a big crocheter. I have done some baskets. I've done a hat, and that's pretty much the same thing flipped upside down, a bucket hat. So I think a blanket would be a really great project, and I would just like to learn to crochet and weave in ends. All of these things you can find videos on YouTube here. So again, I hope I gave you a little bit of escape for the day. It was great to catch up. I hope you like the new name of the channel, and I will see you soon. Take care.